Hello, and welcome to the world of color. I'm your host, Clarence B. Blazin, and I'm here to talk to you about why people's heads don't explode when faced with the prospect of sex in the face of color. As you may or may not already know, color is everywhere. It's in the trees, in the grass, in the bushes, and even in the leaves. But did you also know that there is color in you? No, I'm not talking about racism. I'm talking about the way we perceive color and the underlying psychology behind this phenomenon. So, sit back and enjoy as we explore the wondrous and often incredibly terrifying world of color. Before we get down to brass tacks, I'd like to introduce to you two people that will be helping me portray color and sex. The mild-mannered and mildly attractive Ryan, and the super vapid and super flat Deborah. Now that I've gotten that out of the way, I'd like to talk to you about red. Red is the color of passion, but also fire and lava. It makes sense to think about red when you think about sex, because like lava, it's warm, but you can get burned. Enkindling immolation, incinerating your very soul beyond all recognition, dripping flesh, screaming in agony while the foul stench of death fills the air. Such is love, after all. These feelings are perfectly natural, and sex is a beautiful part of life that everyone should be able to enjoy. That is, unless of course you're not married. In which case I'll see you in hell. Actually, sex has long been equated with sin. The devil is usually a red creature, and hell is usually portrayed as a fire and brimstone sort of place. The imagery of fire evokes a similar sensation that seeing the color red might give you as well. Blood is red too. I just thought I'd mention that in case nobody knew. And to those of you who think that blood is blue until it's exposed to oxygen, well, the point is that blood is being spilled, so something bad happened. And yes, I know that fire is also orange, so shut up, idiots. Speaking of Christian mythology, the famous fruit in the Garden of Eden is generally portrayed as an apple. And what red-blooded American eats anything but red apples? Then again, in Judaism, the fruit is considered more a fig or a grape, and it is worth mentioning that the color red in India symbolizes purity, and it is the wedding color, versus white anywhere else that matters. Now I may not know much about the book of Genesis, or anything at all for that matter, but I consider myself a professional on this issue. You see, at some point in the translation chain, the language used for the original transcripts and subsequent screenplays for the Bible used the same word for apple as it did for evil. It's no wonder why red apples are equated with sex, since sex is evil and evil is tempting. It just makes sense. This isn't a tomato. You're a tomato. The symbolism of color and its parallels to sin and sex are not only in the Bible, but also in everyday life. For example, in Amsterdam, the district in which one pays money for freaky sex is referred to as the red light district. It's not just the hue of the color either, but also the saturation of it. The bright neon lights seen there are a staple of the pornographic industry and other deviant clubs of the sexual persuasion. It plays a role in helping to associate color with sex by exposing viewers to the sleaze of sex in porn through already trashy aesthetic decals like neon signs. Take this imaginary neon sign I'm holding up for example. Its color is bright, oversaturated, and excites your senses, preparing you for whatever bizarre fetish you happen to indulge in behind closed doors. Just like Las Vegas, the city of sin, it's full of bright lights and flashy, sophisticated sequences of colors to illuminate your minds while you watch the dancers on stage ride around topless on endangered animals. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, unless it's a sexually transmitted disease. So remember to wear protection, kids. Yellow isn't nearly as sexy a color as red, but I'm not suggesting that yellow can't find its own niche when it comes to sex. Yellow is the color of yellow roses. Actually, yellow roses symbolize friendship, whereas red roses symbolize love. Green is the color of money in the United States of, and since money pays for sex, they're symbolically related. Green is also the color of the popular yet quaint voyeuristic night vision pornography that many people find sexually satisfying. Green also symbolizes aggression. Now, depending on whether you and your partner have rough, angry sex with each other, or with multiple partners, this can apply to you. If not, then you should be aware that green also symbolizes fertility, in the same way that trees grow, or grass, or bushes, or even, yes, leaves. Nature is green and sex is natural. Oh yeah! Black is actually a shade, not a hue. But for the purpose of this video assignment, and the fact that you can't really correct me because this is a f***ing video, I'm gonna talk about it anyway. Black is commonly identified with a wide range of emotions, such as curiosity, anger, sadness, unhappiness, fear, and remorse. These emotions are coincidentally the feelings one gets, in that order, immediately following news that someone dropped a positive load of HIV on you after a one-night stand. Reminding you once again to wear protection. Speaking of HIV, purple, or more accurately lavender, is the color generally associated with homosexuality after it became popularized in the 1960s as a symbol for gay pride. Purple is known to be associated with sensuality, and since one of the biggest differences between homosexuals and heterosexuals is who they have sex with, everything I've talked about applies to itself. It's just plain logic, folks. White represents purity, peace, innocence, cleanliness, simplicity, humility, and everything else sex isn't. It does, however, also represent marriage, the unfortunate precursor to sex for many. The following colors have less to do with sex than I'm willing to reach for and explain. One of the primary criticisms with color association, especially with sex, is that there is no universally occurring psychological reaction to any single color. For example, I mentioned earlier that red actually means purity in Western civilizations like India, and white means death, instead of black like our pompous Western civilizations would have you believe. Members of the same cultures have different responses to different colors too, and psychological response to color also varies with age. Really, it's all based on experiences and interactions with color on an individual basis. Black reminds Deborah over here of her insatiable desire for sadism and masochism, with black whips and matching black leather outfits. Poor Ryan over here doesn't know the first thing about inflicting pain and suffering to get off. Poor Ryan. You see, folks, it's all subjective. Color and sex mean different things to different people. You just have to figure out which colorful meat hole you fit into.
Beautiful.